All right. It says we're live, so let's check Facebook, YouTube, make sure all that stuff's up.
It's like super producer man.
All right, we're up on YouTube, and I don't know about our Facebook page. You guys have the Facebook popped up?
I can't.
I'm using my phone for it, so I'm not sure.
No. Let's pull it up here and see what we got. If you are joining us, welcome. This is our first live episode, as you can tell by us trying to figure out what the hell's going on. We're going to talk about some motors tonight. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to publish the YouTube to our Facebook. I don't see it showing up on. Let's see. Happening now.
We all live like a mile apart. We could have gone to one place and just on Facebook Live, I suppose. But
Yeah, that would have probably made sense.
That's true.
Hey, Matt's going to need a bigger trophy room.
right,
I am, dude. No, it's just putting me live. That's not what I want. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna grab the YouTube. I'm gonna grab that link and then throw it on the Facebook. Yeah. What I would do. Apologize to anybody that's waiting. Thought we got anybody. No, we got 3 watching.
Oh, nice.
All
That's probably us.
It probably is.
the numbers check out. Oh, the Packers are so bad.
That's
Are they
right.
losing? What's the score?
24-3.
Which will be reported, so we have you on the record saying that. The Packers
Oh, that's right now. This is embarrassing.
Could be worse. Raheem Mostert could still be scoring touchdowns on your team.
Oh, true.
All right, so we're live here. We got a few people watching. Looks like what we'll do is I posted it up into Facebook. Okay, so our Facebook group's got it up there. If you got any questions or comments, leave a post in Facebook, and then we'll see it there. So I guess we can also show our comments here on the inside. So if you bring them in, it's pretty cool. So we can even bring in our folks' comments if they've got on. I think on Facebook you just have to allow like access to the app or something. But all right, let me get this music turned down here, and we will get it going. All right, so first live episode that we're doing. I'm Matt Collins. We're joined with our Presidente, Josh Hines, and then Tournament Director for Bass, Jeremy. Both, actually, all 3 of us returning next year.
Yep.
Welcome, gents.
Thank you for having us. This will
Glad
be
to
a
be here,
pretty
Professor.
big announcement and episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk a couple housekeeping things first before we get into it. We'll let everybody kind of start watching, and then we'll get right into it after that. So, Angler of the Year is wrapped up. Justin Collins and myself took Angler of the Year. It was a good year to be on the Collins tribe. So, but our season, while it's over, we still have a big bash that we need to do, our end of year banquet up at Chatfield, October 7th. And it's a potluck style. Josh made a post on the Facebook page. So, hey, if you're coming, you can sign up for, whatever, just put what you're going to bring there, drinks or food or whatever.
We could definitely use another main dish.
another main dish. I'll get something for it, man. I haven't signed up yet myself, so I'll put another main dish in there. That'll be a good time. It's gonna be beautiful weather too. It's supposed to like start dropping into like the 60s during the day next week. So
Not to mention all the giveaways.
yeah, so we got a ton of giveaways
Tons of
for
stuff.
it. We got a couple major ones, but we do have a ton of smaller ones as well. I mean, even smaller ones. We're still talking some really good stuff. Josh picked up some more goods to give out, but the big ones that we're giving away, everybody knows about, are the 2 kayaks that we're giving away. So thanks to Waterline and Native, we're giving away that Native kayak, and then thanks to Old Town, sponsored our Big Bass, $250 per tournament. They're giving away a Sportsman 120. So it's going to be a pretty cool day to give away all this stuff and free up some room in Josh's garage.
Heck yeah.
All right. The All-American Kayak Classic. Well, this is a bit away still. We have kind of posted the details of it and the roll down based off Angler of the Year standings for bass and multi. So the roll downs are in there. I'm updating it as people post if they're going to decline it or not. I know it's super early. We got to post it, post our rosters, I think, by February 1st with Josh over there at the All-American. But the sooner that, if you know that you're not going to go, definitely just announce that. And then that way we can give people that do want to go the most opportunity to make plans since it is a travel, But yeah, sponsors. We just talked about. Oh, I want to talk about Cascade for one of the last tournament. We haven't really announced it as much, but one of the cool things they did was if you won using Hammer Braid, you got $250 to Cascade. So big shout out to them for being a sponsor of the club for years, and kind of forgot that we were even doing that myself on the water, but yeah, it paid off. Got $250 to Cascade again. So cool stuff. And let's get into the hot topic, guys. Let's talk about some motors. Josh, I'll let you kick it off, man.
Okay. I've been on board in the past, and trolling motors have always come up. It's always an issue, and it's never been a very popular topic. It's usually a contentious debate amongst the board. So I was actually a little surprised. We had some initial debate, and then I just put it up for a vote. Said, "Hey, not binding, but let's just see where everybody stands." And there was just kind of an immediate consensus that, hey, it's time. We're going to let the motors happen, and not just for bass, but for everybody, both series. So,
yeah, I think we I know. So we announced it up at Waterline. They hosted our awards, for Boyd. But let's just talk about I guess like some of the things that came into play for this decision. I've talked to a bunch of people that were in the club, people that have been on the boards before, people that are newer to it, people that are interested in fishing in the club, and kind of gotten a consensus of their ideas. And I mean, yeah, there's differing opinions, but kind of the overall consensus that I heard from people talking to them was that it's just a matter of time that the technology for kayaks is continuing to progress or advance, and we got to stay with that as well. And then some of the arguments of the competitive advantage and stuff. I've heard from some of the guys that win a hell of a lot more tournaments than most people, and they fished the CKB without a motor, and they're still winning. So there's advantages to it for sure, but one of the things that one of the guys told me was he has a motor, doesn't fish it with CKB, wins a lot, and he said it kind of forces him to slow down a lot more when he doesn't use it. So he uses it sometimes he doesn't. But Yeah, let's just kind of go down some of the topics we were talking about. Jeremy, you touched on these really well at Waterline. So like the technology advancements, even with the Old Town with the EPDL and stuff. So how would that look like, going forward with some of these?
Yeah, with Old Town bringing the EPDL, and I don't know if everybody looks at Kayak Angler magazine and some of the other articles and stuff that they've put out. It looks like those hybrid style e-bike pedal drives are going to start really hitting the kayak market. Not just Old Town. I would definitely imagine that some of the other propeller style manufacturers are going to be implementing some kind of hybrid drive in the near future as options. Some of them possibly retrofitting, some of them not, kind of like the Old Town. But that's going to be a big challenge for us because, I mean, unless we're there inspecting your drive at launch, if we go back to, Universal's, standard launch, where everybody's in the same spot and we could actually inspect them. I mean, unless we're doing that, it's going to be hard to tell who's running what on the water. So that's one of the big things, technological advances and those kind of things. But then also the technological advances in the smaller motors in general. You look at Austin Mortensen, our rookie of the year this year, fishes out of an $800 Ascend. For him to upgrade to a pedal drive to try to compete, in the trolling tournaments and stuff like that with some of us that already have pedal drives, that's a $2,000 to $3,000 investment for him. But then to motorize that Ascend, I mean, for $300, you could get that thing motorized, 3.4 miles an hour, about the same max speed that we're going with like a 30-pound thrust trolling motor. So the technology is there not just to advance the pedal drive kayaks, but also the technology now to advance the paddle kayaks and stuff like what Austin's running. So really it's just kind of moving along and, pushing into it. Not to mention changes in the kayak market in general, where it comes to like the motor ready kayaks. I mean, if you look at stuff like the, Old Town kind of knocked it out of the park with the autopilot when they put that one out, but then a lot of people still want the pedal drive with like a bow mount. So, there's a lot of people making the bow mounts for the Hobies, but now native with the Titan X, I mean, a fully integrated bow mount, the electrical panel on it. So really, as we continued to negate motors in the club and not allow them, it was just kind of like pushing us behind some of these other kayaks and stuff that were coming out on the market and some of the other items that are kind of really big in the kayak community now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if you watch ICAST this past year, the kayak market also has just exploded since COVID happened. A lot of people got into fishing. A lot of people got into kayak fishing, which exploded the kayak market and the technological advances within it. So now we're at a point where ICAST, which is the biggest fishing expo of the year, used to be more giant bass boats, Rangers, Bass Cats, all of the big players there. Now there's so much of ICAST. And Caleb can talk about this more from going down for Shields, but there are so much emphasis on kayak bass fishing, kayak fishing in general at ICAST now. The sport has grown that much, and when you look at the major players that won technological advancements for the year and kind of where it's going, it's the EPDL, it's the Titan X, which are both motor specific kayaks. I mean, the Titan X definitely has a pedal drive with it, but the way that they have put in, the battery wells for it, to lower the center of gravity, you can just tell that that's where everything's going in the market. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot more other brands and stuff out there that are doing it too. I mean, Native is partnered with Bonafide, so now there's a Bonafide Power coming out that's going to have the same kind of integrated bow mount for the trolling motor, the same kind of power panels for your electrical, the battery box, all of that. Then there's several other brands out there. I mean, you saw the Ascend a couple of years ago that came motor ready for an XI3 with the combo that you could get from Bass Pro for like $3,000, and it was everything you needed, including the lithium battery. So you look at the market and how it's changing. They're trying to make kayak fishing accessible, and a lot of places are gearing towards big water, but here in Colorado, it's not necessarily big water that we've got, but we've got a lot of wind. We've got a lot of, wakeboard boats, things like that. And the motors can give you a little bit of a safety net with some of those things as well. So honestly, it's, looking at it from all kinds of different angles. We're just trying to advance the club and do things that allows people to not have to adjust the way that they fish here. If they travel, if they're doing multiple series, things like that. Like we were talking about with the AAKC going out to Truman, that lake is absolutely huge. My first trip was this past year, and man, some of the guys with motors were covering quite a bit of water, and I was in just a couple coves, and I think I maybe touched less than 1/100th of 1% of even a small percentage of the lake. Dude, that place is ridiculous. And without a little bit of motor capability, or if the wind was moving, dude, you were getting blown all over the place. That was a hard spot to move.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because both of those, safety and the being able to travel. You got a lot of guys that are just members of the club that are expanding out and traveling a lot more now. We've got 24 that have said that they wanted to go to the All-American already. So you can use it there. So it's something that you'll be able to use, in different places. You don't have to get a motor. There's somebody saying, hey, you got to get one. So.
Yeah, and it's not just AAKC, KBF, BASS. Like they all most of the big national trails already allow trolling motors. Hobie's the lone holdout, and there's speculation that they might change that in the near future too. So it's just like we've said already. It's just kind of the way the industry's going. So we're just kind of falling in line.
And I mean, if you look at the top names in Hobie, they may not allow motors during their tournaments, but during their practices, you watch Christine, Guillermo, Drew Gregory, all of those guys. They're rocking a motor up until tournament time. So you see the way that they practice and stuff like that. They're gearing themselves, to take the motor off, but they're still running that motor, up until the time that they absolutely have to take it aren't
they even partnered with Torpedo? They used to be.
I am not sure. I don't think Hobie BOS is.
Yeah, I know KBF had a big deal with Torpedo for a long time, but I'm not sure if BOS is or not.
Okay, but yeah, I think it's all going that way. It's a matter of time. We'll see what Hobie does for the BOS. I've heard the same, that it might be happening. So yeah, Jeremy, you touched on the next point we want to talk about with safety. There's been some windy days out there. People roll kayaks. It's kind of nice just to get to shore real quick if you're offshore. Something nice for that. There's another the flip side of that on safety that I wanted to discuss is just weight ratings. So a lot of these kayaks, if you go out there, with an Ascend, you're probably good. If you go out there with like a little Pelican that's, rated for one Alex Rojas without any equipment, then you're probably going to sink if you put a motor on there, or it's just not going to go well. So, hey, know the weight ratings of these things, and when you take them out there, be careful with them. When you wire up your motors, I went with a motor this past year, and we got Alex in the comments here. Does Jordan Love rock a motor too?
Oh. Oh man,
let's throw that up there.
That's cold.
Oh, I love it.
Ouch.
We're just talking about Alex. We love
That's
Alex.
Cold.
Yeah, so be careful when you rig these things up. I went with like cheap Anderson plugs, I think, that were on Amazon and came from China, and they burnt up on me. I don't know if that was at the All-American or where it was, but I mean, my connectors literally melted together the first time I took it out. So, hey, they sell Anderson plug connectors at Shields. They sell everything you need at Shields. Go shop there. But seriously, when it comes to your electrical routing, do it the right way. For your power, and when it comes to your weight rating, make sure that your kayak can handle all the weight that you're going to put into it, because God, we don't want any incidents or accidents with safety on the opposite side of that. So All right.
Also, with that, know your kayaks too. Like Matt has experienced with the Hobie 360s. When you put that bow mount on there, there's a shaft down on the bottom that has like a rubber hose that goes over it with a clamp. If you don't like double clamp that and brace it, when you put a bow mount on there, it starts taking in some serious water. So know your kayak, kind of like learn your brand, look up some of the videos of other people that have motorized your style of kayak. That way you kind of know some of these things that might become a hiccup later on that could be a safety concern. Because the last thing you want to do is go out there on, Pueblo or Boyd or someplace with a lot of wakeboard boats, take a bunch of water into the hull and not really realize it until then you get swamped by a wakeboard boat across the bow, and that can finish you off and put you under. So definitely take those things into account. But then also like your Torqeedos and I think the Newports both come with a kill switch. So if you eject from the kayak, you can actually kill the motor. Make sure that you wear those. Also, like if you do go with like an XI3 or a just a rear transom mount or something like that, build plans in either leashing yourself to the kayak or figuring out ways to do that, but to be safe. And if you get ejected from the kayak, your kayak doesn't just leave you there in the middle of the lake.
Yeah. A couple of notes on that. So, yeah, Christine Fisher's got a video, I think, where she ditched her kayak and then it was just doing 360s around her, right? And it was flying. That thing was, it had to be going like 4 at least, which is,
yeah, it was hard for them to catch up to it. They ended up having to cut it off.
Yeah. And then, so there's a few things. Alex has a comment about here as well. Pulse width modulator to extend, and always use a fuse. Yes, yeah, basic electronic things with the fuse, modulator. So a couple things with thank you, Alex. A couple things with the motors. The XI3, if you do go with that one, the clip on the bottom, I actually bought a replacement for it. It's just plastic, like where the little keyring is. It's known to break off quite a bit. Mine actually broke off on the last one that I was on, and the last tournament I was at. But it broke off in my truck, luckily, and I didn't lose my remote. I would have lost my remote in the water if that would have happened. So there's an aftermarket company like TKI or something. Just like do your research on this stuff. The Newports, those are going to be a lot more. You're going to go probably faster with them because you have less resistance from the kayak itself than you lose the spot lock. But also, it's a lot of the kayaks that XI3 is pretty front heavy when you put that thing on. So I know mine, if I stand up, I get so much water that comes in and goes forward in the PH12 I'm in. So just do your research and everyone's gonna do their own research here. We got plenty of people that already have kayaks too in the club. Ask questions, ask around.
So in the same vein, it was probably 4, maybe 5 years ago, we had a tournament at Pueblo, and there was a couple in a canoe that had a trolling motor and a big ass car battery, and it imbalanced them and they ended up tipping. And Jason Duong actually came to the rescue and dragged them to the shore. So when it comes to battery too, we got a really great sponsor, Amped. So get a lithium battery, weighs substantially less. They've given us a bunch of free batteries, but they're all 10 amp hours. So if you want to run a trolling motor, we have a discount code, so you guys can save a bunch of money on lithium batteries. So
yeah, and we got another sponsor announcement that we're going to hold off till the end here. But yeah, the last thing I want to talk about before we just plug all of our sponsors is, hey, if you're adding a motor, like you don't have to spend that much money on a motor. You can go out a couple $100, get a motor. Probably even more expensive is going to be your battery, right? But Alex has a great example of this on his kayak. But hey, if you're going to spend $1,500 or on a motor and then another $600 on a battery, and you decide to go that way, and you already got a $5,000 kayak, please insure the damn thing. Because if you lose all that in the water or on the road, I give a shout out to Ronnie. I threw my kayak through my back window, had it replaced for free with the coverage that I decided to sign up with Ronnie. this past season before we started. We've had a couple incidents in the past month. Another guy had the same thing, didn't have that glass coverage on it, on the policy. So he's riding around with duct tape on his back window. And then thank God Josh Gardner's okay, rolled his vehicle with his trailer and, you know, everything, his boat and everything. So, golly, guys, if you're going to have a kayak setup that's, you know, several $1,000s and you're not going to insure it, just understand that if it's gone, it's gone. I think my complete replacement is $50 for the year or something like that for if my kayak is just sunk or crashed or whatever. Alex has a comment here: $100 Enduro 30 transom mount, then add a battery, minimum 54 amp hour. Yep, I'd say 54 is the minimum. Some people like 100. I've got an 80, and I've never had it not last me for a whole day. Cool. What we got next? Competitive advantage. That's the argument.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk on that?
I mean, a lot of people talk about it. You know, we've got a lot of people in the club that are already running, you know, $3,000 to $5,000 kayaks on, you know, they're starting to add on all the different electronics. We've got several people that are running forward facing sonar. And we get the people that say, you know, where does it stop? Honestly, they're items on the market. We could sit there and start banning forward facing sonar and motors, and, you know, people will just be, okay, well, I'm going to go fish with, you know, All American, or I'm going to fish with CKB, and we start losing people. At the end of the day, we're a charity. We're a charity organization. That's how we were founded. Johnny Wakenga founded CKFC with the members as a charity to raise money. So if we start banning all these things and, you know, keeping from advancing in the world with kayak fishing, that's more people that we turn away, and that's more money that we're turning away for whatever charity we choose. So that's not really the area that we're going to. When you look at competitive advantage, a lot of people talked about that, especially when we started mentioning multi-species, that banning JDM baits. When we started mentioning multi-species and trolling, you know, yes, trolling motors will bring an advantage to that, in that you won't be as tired at the end of the day. But it's not, you still have to find the fish. You've got to find where they're going to be at. You've got to put yourself on it. That's the end of the story for trolling. I mean, when you look at it, you can troll just as well in a pedal kayak as you can in something with a trolling motor. It is not that hard. Really, what the trolling motors are going to do is allow people like Austin, who was it, Leslie Handy, that was coming out from Grand Junction in a paddle kayak. It's going to allow them different options to possibly now beef up their kayak to keep up with our pedal drives without having to drop $3,000 on a new kayak. That's the big thing that's going to do. And honestly, when you look at trolling motors on kayaks, the absolute #1 biggest advantage in the state of Colorado, because our reservoirs are so small, is going to be bass fishing and holding your spot if you've got pinpoint in the wind. Like, that is the biggest thing. But honestly, I've fished against plenty of people that are running trolling motors, running forward face sonar. You know, it still comes down to figuring out the pattern, figuring out what the fish are going to bite on, and getting your lure in the right spot. And if you practice, put in the work, you're going to be able to do it, whether you add a trolling motor or not.
Yeah.
Additionally, like there's going to be a trade-off. We'll talk a little bit more about the standardization amongst CPW parks, but some lakes are going to have the inspection, and the hours are not going to be under our control, and it might be after we launch. So if you want to run a trolling motor, you may have a little bit of a disadvantage on that. You have to wait to get inspected. So just one of those things you got to keep in mind. Maybe a factor that helps, I guess, you know, limit the impact in people's minds, if you will. So
yeah, CPW is not going to be too bad for that, because pretty much all the CPW parks honor pre-registration or pre-inspections. So you can actually go either to the lake that we're having the tournament on the night before, like if you pre-fished, or even like here in town in Colorado Springs, you can go there off Garden of the Gods and get your kayak pre-inspected if you can't go down and pre-fish. So there's going to be a lot of options for that. But I tell you right now, when we go to South Park to Spinney, they are really stringent on the motor inspections. And then also with Horsetooth, we're seeing some concessions that they're making for CKB and how CKB is negotiating it, because they've been doing this now for 2 years. We're hoping that we'll be able to do some of those things, but we can't promise it. So if we get to Horsetooth and they say they're not going to send somebody up to inspect at Satanka on the north side, you're either going to have to launch on the south side and motor wherever you're going to go, or you're going to have to get inspected on the south side and drive up. So that's going to be some turnoffs. So just some things to take into account.
Yeah, I think that depends on the time of year too. I don't know if they just don't man Satanka past Labor Day, maybe, or maybe it's the special thing that they're coming in so early for them. But it's awesome that James and the guys at CKB have worked that relationship with them to even be able to have them there for the hours they need for launch, because I've kind of been following along, and they're doing some great things. So yeah, CKB, we'll definitely be asking them questions on maybe issues that they ran into the first year they had motors, and things that we can do best. And a lot of the guys are members in the club, fish both trails, and they'll have that feedback for us too. So if there is something that you've noticed, definitely reach out and let us know if there's maybe an obstacle that we're not seeing here as far as ANS goes. But yeah, I did ANS up at I did ANS inspection up at Boyd when we were up there. The way it went for me, kayaks are different. There's no standard between any two lakes in Colorado, it seems like, but
yep.
They would just put a seal. So I went the first day, I went in the morning, I got inspected, and I got off the water, went through the same lane that the boats go through. They did another inspection on the trolling motor, basically make sure it's not holding water and doesn't have a bunch of vegetation matted up into it. All they really care about seeing is your kayak or your motor. And then what they did for me, since there's no way to secure the motor, this part is going to be different in every body of water. But what they did was where they typically put the seal on the trailer to the boat, they put the seal on my H-rail to one of the D-rings, or the mounting points in the bed of my truck, so that when I took the kayak off the truck next, I'd have to break that seal. That allowed me to launch before hours when they were open the next morning. And that's what I did for the week while I was fishing out there. So that's just a little heads up. Jason Duong says Satanka boat ramp is closed for the season, closed after Labor Day. So I guess it's a special exception to the rule that they're doing it. But I know they're doing it earlier than they normally have inspections up there as well.
Yep.
And then Nick Wetherall is with us. What's up, Nick? Saw that separated launch times depending on style. Oh, for a series. Okay, paddle, motor separated by 5 minutes, pedal first, etc. Yeah, we talked about that as well. Kind of like the strategy part of it, where it's like, hey, choose your own adventure. If the launch times are all the same for everybody, and you decide, hey, I'm going to give up an hour to wait for my motor to get inspected versus paddling out there, I don't know. It adds to the strategy of it, in my mind. But it's good. It's a good point.
Jason also says he thinks people need to focus on what they're doing and not other people, but I disagree. I just follow Jason around and copy whatever he's doing. So
that's a good strategy.
If he had a motor, he'd be able to get away from me. So I appreciate that he doesn't run a motor.
Love it. We love you, Jason. We're not racist, by the way. All right. Yeah, on to this CPW kayak ANS inspections. One of the things that we've just kind of talked about is like, hey, there's no standard across all of Colorado, and this is just for CPW. Not even God, Jason. I'm losing my mind whenever Jason comments, because they're always the best. Yes. So there's no standard even within the state parks for bodies of water. I wish there were. There's not. And then we're echoing on somebody's here, I think. Let me see. All right.
It started after Josh moved his around.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. One of us is echoing a little bit. I'm going to mute. Might do it. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was me. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so there's no redundancy between this park to the next park, and then when you get out of CPW, you go to Horsetooth, you're in Larimer County or whatever it is. So we're working with Alex. He's going to talk to CPW, try to get the standard for us. I mean, no promises on what's going to come out of that, but we are working that to get a standard. So, like, what is CPW actually trying to accomplish within us? Because I've gone to some CPW stations where they don't know. So, cool. Next up was launch time. So, I mean, Nick had one of the ideas. We've kind of had that.
Yeah, we've got the whole off season. We're going to look at different options and how we're going to approach stuff. We have always tried to get out as early as we possibly could, as close to safe light. Changing launch times for different people based off of what they have. Again, that goes into how is that going to be made difficult the first time somebody comes out there with a hybrid pedal drive? Are we going to necessarily know that they've got that on there? For the launch times, we don't have everybody, launching from the same position as it is right now. So some of those things are just going to be harder for us to police. I mean, we saw the messes that happened at Trinidad with people going back behind the tower. We had issues with the Rangers at Red Willow not even being willing to tell me if they ticketed anybody with a kayak. So adding things like that are harder for us to police, we're going to have to look at those options during the off season. But really the biggest thing is we just want to launch as early as we can, because, the earlier we get to launch, the earlier we get to get off the water, and the more we get to stay away from the wakeboard boats during the summer. We're limited on the number of bodies of water that we can really go to. We're trying to expand out. I still haven't heard back from Elkhead on a yes or no for our tournaments. But as it stands, we're just trying to make sure that we could go out places and be safe. So we'll see what we're going to do for launch times, but I don't imagine we'll make too many rules for us to have to enforce.
Yeah, I agree. The spirit of this club is like Josh said earlier. I mean, it's a nonprofit. We're here to continue to grow the sport in Colorado, get people into it, support the nonprofit, and honestly, it's just a great time with people getting together, growing friends with the club. So this isn't the most, I don't know, stringent of clubs to go into. If people following you around being like, hey, what are you doing? But at the same time, we do have rules. There's money on the line, and we need to consider all these things. Jason's got another comment here. I think if you keep the same launch times, if people use motors, they have to live with the rules. Part of the game. Live with your choices. Choose your own adventure. Yep. Yeah, I like that.
With that, what Matt touched on, we're here to grow the sport. One of the big things that I kind of wanted to talk about tonight is just be respectful. As we talk about this, there's people that want to keep it, as traditional as possible, human powered, limited electronics. It's just not how we're going to be able to keep going as a club, because we just would keep excluding more and more people. As we're trying to grow the sport here in Colorado, we're trying to bring as many people as we can into the club. We've got 4,000 members on social media. We've got about 100 to 120 that are active in the tournaments. I'd love to see that number, that side go up. I don't care if the social media keeps growing. That thing's a beast. I imagine it's going to keep escalating. But I'd love to see that tournament angler pool go up. And if adding motors to that allows some of the guys that I know that run, Old Town autopilots because they have hip and back problems, then so be it. So what I ask is just be respectful. If you see people choosing to run motors, be respectful, keep your mouth shut if you've got a negative comment, because you honestly don't know what's going on with that individual. I can personally guarantee you, because I've talked to 3 of them now, we have members that have medical conditions that just didn't feel comfortable getting some kind of doctor's information, just anything sent to us as the board, because they really don't know us that well, to then come out and compete. So we had 3 people this year that reached out and then ended up not competing because they just didn't feel comfortable with that. Well, now they're not going to have to send us anything to verify, what kind of condition or something they've got going on that impedes them from paddling or pedaling. And they'll be able to come out with a motor and join us. That's what we're all about. We're trying to grow the club, grow the sport, grow the donations at the end of the year, and have a good time.
Yeah, we've got people in the club that are older too. Josh, you're muted. Are you trying to talk?
Poor Josh.
He's muted. I don't know. Were you trying to chime in? I couldn't
Nope.
tell.
I'm yelling at my kid.
Oh, okay. Oh, right on. I did that right before this. Yeah, you're saying, hey, people, they might not want to release medical information or go get a doctor's slip for this. I'll point out right now, like Alex Rojas is getting old. He is getting old and he is breaking really fast. And at a young 49 years old, that dude's probably going to be in a wheelchair in the next like 2 years if he keeps going at the way that he's going. No, I'm joking, but no, when we were up at Alex's place, the dude was using my back massage, little thing that wraps around his back, because he could hardly walk. He got out of his truck to unlock the gate to his property, and it's like, you look rough, man. But again, we are not racist, Alex and Jason.
That would be what is that? Ageist?
It's ageist. And you gotta stop playing that card. But no, we got people that are all ages in here. There are people that have sciatica as well from from in their back and their legs. I get it. I think honestly, it's going to allow more people into the sport than exclude more people. And like you were saying about being respectful, I want to give a shout out to everybody in the club. When we posted that we were going to allow motors, I expected to have a lot more negative input, mainly from people that don't even fish the tournaments that are on the page. Like you said, we got 4,000 people on there. I expected more negativity to come out, just because that's what you often see in social media nowadays, or the news, or whatever, is negativity. But hey, I really want to applaud the club just for how much positivity came out of the post that we had. And yeah, there are people that are sad about it. I get that, but there were no like crazy comments being made or anything.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the standard for this club. I mean, we've had, so many different things happening throughout the years, and this club has, always been a positive influence on the sport and the locations and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised that we've had a lot of, there's been a lot of good discussion, but not a lot of negativity, and nobody really bashing stuff. So that's just the nature of this club. It's an amazing thing that Johnny and them created, and it's awesome that we get to continue on and try to evolve it.
Yeah. All right. We have a great comment. Thank you, Josh. Next year's charity would be to put Alex native with a wheelchair. They got the swivel chair, put a wheelchair on it. And I said he could win tournaments for that cause. So we go. We love you, Alex. We wouldn't mess with you if we hadn't. Cool, guys. I think we've about, hit every aspect of the debates that I've heard, unless there's anything you guys have in the comments here. I do want to say on the way out, we have a big sponsor announcement to make here. Josh, I'll let you make it, dude.
All right. Is the echo still going there?
No, you're good now.
Okay. Excellent. So technology is hard. So yeah, Scott Brand's been doing work. He's been hitting up a whole bunch of companies and has already secured a bunch of sponsorships for next year. But in the vein of us lawn trolling motors, he got us hooked up with a Newport. So they are donating a Newport setup with a battery, so $2,000 value there to us for next year. We're still going to work out how exactly we're going to give that to the masses, but super excited to have Newport on board as a big sponsor. So.
Jason's on it tonight, man. Goodness.
Yeah, I'm muted here, but I'll read it just for people that are listening. Alex starting the AARP kayak series. I'm really liking this live here. I'm loving Jason. I think he just needs to host this podcast for us. And then Alex, you guys are killing me, crying over here. We are too. All right. Yeah, good job, Scott. Way to already be working on the sponsors for next year. 2024 is going to be awesome, guys. We got a ton of people already signed up. That's awesome. Good job, guys. Yeah, we got a ton of people already wanting to get signed up for the All-American. We haven't even done our end-of-year banquet. We got guys excited about next year's season already, and we just finished. Yeah, Nick Weatherall. Wow, good work, Scott. Yeah, great work, Scott. Cool. We got that echo coming back. Josh, there it is. It's all good now.
Bye, Josh.
Bye, Josh. If you got something, just chime in and unmute. It's not too bad.
You have to raise your hand and talk. We're going back to elementary.
That's good, chat.
All right, so that's really all we got. I do want to say, hey, good luck to everybody that's out there fishing CKB at Horsetooth this weekend. Jeremy's going to be out there. I know there's 30 anglers, so I think there's 3 guys or gals or whoever that's going to be able to attend the Bassmaster Kayak Classic 10 Killer next year, which is awesome. It's a great club. I know everybody. There's a lot of overlap between our club and CKB with the members there. So, guys, go out, have a blast. And best of luck to everybody. And yeah, go get that classic slot. That's awesome.
Gunning for it.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, Josh, I'll let you unmute, and then you can do closing comments. El Presidente.
So I think you just kind of hit all the key points there. Super looking forward to the banquet. Besides the big kayaks, we also got a couple of Shimano Zodius rods and Shimano Stratic spinning reel as well to give away, as well as we got Shields Cash. There'll be good food. It's at Chatfield, so the weather is still holding out. It looks to be super nice. So if you guys want to fish, go for it.
Josh is doing brisket again. That is worth it.
I am doing brisket, so it will be a great time. And that's kind of we'll say goodbye to Justin Collins. Officially welcome Jamie to the board, and then the board will get to work. 2024 season. Look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks Justin for all the work. Thanks Jamie for coming on. I'm drinking some PBR here in celebration for the reign of shame, as I'm calling it. So the reign of shame. Jamie's going to shame everybody into signing up for whatever multi-tournament he's running. And he's already got some good ideas with the charity event we're going to do next year. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. We're already 48 minutes in. So
yep.
Thanks to everybody that joined us. If you like this this platform of doing it live, let us know. We can continue this going forward for our episodes. I do still want to get Justin on and talk about his end of the year episode, and we'll try to do something to broadcast at least the giveaways for the kayaks at the end of year banquets, if not some other parts of it. But we'll definitely come up on the net for that for people that are unable to attend. But if you do like this, let us know. I really did like the feedback from the guys that are in there. So Jason, Alex, and Nick, thank you very much for joining us. And I know we got some other people watching on the website. So cool. Thanks, guys. Jeremy, you got anything else?
No, it's been a great year and looking forward to next year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we will see you on the next one. See you at the end of your year awards, and good luck at Worst Teeth, everybody.